Good morning, Collective Church. Today is an interesting morning. I want to let you know that Lee and I love you, that we miss you, that we're thankful that we're part of this church together. And as we have to pivot our strategy, as we rethink what Sunday mornings might look like, I want to let you know that that is not a challenge that we see, but that's an opportunity that we notice. It's an opportunity for us to impact people, for us to do something significant.
I actually found a post from Collective on Instagram one time when I was scrolling, and I just saved the post. Later, I started listening to the services online, and I listened to quite a few of them, and I was like, man, this is good, but it's too bad that this church is in some big city. And then Colton and I were looking for a church.
For quite some time. For
quite a while, and then I thought of it, and I thought I should go back and see where that church is. And it was in London, so we were like, oh, let's check it out.
Let's try it.
The first time that we came upon Collective was online. Beginning of 2020 to March, we weren't looking too seriously, but when COVID hit, we started looking online. And Collective was one of the places that we watched online.
Starting to coming out of COVID and stuff, we were looking for a different church. We independently wrote lists of churches that we wanted to visit or we've heard about, and we went to a few, and then we realized that on our own list, this unknown church we actually wrote was on our number one church on the top. Wasn't the first church we went to, but it was the one on top.
Yeah, it was Collective. We kept calling it the unknown church because we didn't know anyone who went here. It turned out in the long run that at the top of each of our independent lists, Collective was at the top, so that was kind of neat after we figured that out and landed here.
We were meeting at the German-Canadian Club in the back lawn outside because restrictions weren't allowed to be inside, and it was different, but it was awesome. I didn't love the heat that much, but Alicia loved it.
I liked it.
So we started going. We just bought our house, so we didn't have a whole lot of stuff, and we had big clunky lawn chairs, like the big plastic ones, and Alicia's like, we can't bring these chairs. And we pulled up these big lawn chairs and we set them down. Alicia sits down and almost falls in the grass. And we're like, oh man. But it was, outside was wonderful for you. I was sitting there sweating through my shirt trying to listen to the service, but all in all, it was beautiful outside, and it was fun being at church again.
It was nice to be in church even through COVID, that they were making the effort to meet anyway.
During Shutdown, we didn't have a lot of groups of people, and just the effort people were putting in prioritizing community and doing it the best they can through all the restrictions was just beautiful. And we weren't part of the team at the time, so we weren't setting up, so we didn't have to deal with lugging everything across the lawn, but even just seeing everyone there working and putting the effort in to have community was amazing. And just the fact that they prioritized service and worshiping, and
When communities are formed, what I've come to find is that God puts specific people in that group for a reason, and we can lean on each other.
When we first came to Collective, with pandemic in general, that in itself kind of shook up and moved different people around churches, but we had experienced some church hurt. In coming out of that and looking for our next church home, we honestly, we had conversed about it, and we really felt a little broken and felt like we were thinking that we needed to choose to sit back and be filled. We entered into Collective November 28th, and we heard the message that week essentially was Tyler speaking on where Collective had been and where it was going, and it was very unique that was the first sermon that we heard.
The following weekend.
The week two, and what happened week two?
Halfway through we just looked at each other and went, yep, this is the church we're gonna call home for a while. And I grabbed a coffee, and my wife told me I'm no longer allowed to ugly cry.
Yeah, we had a good ugly cry in the parking lot there afterwards, just totally knowing that we had found our next church family. And in the moment, that was very overwhelming to realize we found where we were landing.
We didn't come to Collective in person at that time, though. It wasn't until January 2022 that we first came in person to Collective. But from that initial day, it was different than anything else we had experienced yet.
I think as soon as Colton and I first came to Collective, we knew immediately, like, this is our home. It felt so comfortable, and everything that they were saying was just pointing back to Jesus. And yeah, it just felt like really God was being glorified through everything.
There's a few things that stood out, but the biggest one for us was just immediate sense of community. Tyler and Lee came up to us after the service and talked with us. And, oh, pastors are talking to us. That was unique. But not only Tyler and Lee, like everyone sitting around us before service, after service, turned around, introduced themselves, just wanted to get to know us, and were just genuine. And we didn't experience that at other churches that we went to. I think that was the biggest factor that made us come back.
And at the time, you just hear everyone's views on COVID and all these things. And here at Collective, it was God. And they didn't care. Like, it was a thing, but it wasn't preached on. It was at the pulpit. It wasn't.
There wasn't so much divide.
It wasn't divide. It was just everyone is here to love people and to worship
God.
and learn from God. And that was the priority. And we couldn't find that anywhere else. And it was just heartwarming and life-giving again to experience that. So, like, yeah, this is the place.